All right, next up we are going to do exercise 16.1 inside of chapter 16, page 701 of our textbook. It starts by opening up from the student files. You download those at the beginning. So let's go into the student downloads. So I've got student downloads in the starter for chapter 16. Open the layout file in the views shared. In the nav bar, note that the Razor code uses dependency injection in the sign-in manager class to determine whether a user is signed in. Got a cart here. Reading some route information, probably for active links. Let's look. There we go. Inject, sign in manager, sign if user is signed in. We've seen this. It's interesting they literally put it right in the body. But I guess it just makes it clear that this sign in manager is this type. In the models, domain models, open the user entity class. Notice it inherits from identity user and adds role names, now mapped to the database. In the view models, the register view model and the login view model. Register username, password, confirm password, looks pretty similar. And this is register. They don't have any of the additional fields. On the login, we log in with the username and password and a remember me. In the controllers folder, account controller. We got a user manager and a sign in manager. And we're working with some asynchronous method calls to register. Log out, so on and so forth. In the controllers folder, open the cart controller. Notice you got to be logged in to have a cart. And then areas, so we're just looking around at first. Areas, admin controllers. Open the book controller. Got to be an admin to get in. Next up, add the identity tables to the database in the models data layer. So I'm going to close it all down. Close all. Models data layer. Open the context. Okay, we're inheriting from the old school DB context. That was so last week. And update it to inherit identity DB context. So I'll put the word identity DB context. User. Now We're going to have to add the using statement for it. Let's see if it can pick it up. Sometimes it takes a second. If not, we'll add the using manually. There we go. Be sure also to adjust the on model creating. So on model creating, we basically have to pass this up to base. Actually, IntelliSense is pretty smart. So we have to add that line on model creating. Now, just worth glancing at the dependencies. And there's the entity framework core, looks like 6.08. Just kind of noticing that those versions line up, right? Because the one issue that I have thought a little bit about more is, hey, you know, we had some errors here. Just noticing that these frameworks the versions line up. So something to keep in mind. Not saying that's going to solve all of our problems, just something to pay attention to. Let's go to our package manager console. Add a migration. Add identity tables. Review the migration file, creating a table called roles, called users, role claims. Obviously there's more to do here than we've done. User logins. Beautiful. Let's update the database. Now, here's the deal. Bookstore. Guess what? We already have a bookstore. I already have a bookstore database. Delete it. Because let me do this first. Should all be there. Initials all there. Or, there you go, or just change the name of the database. So we could, in app settings, just go in here, bookstore 16. How about that? Bookstore 16. Then you delete it, recreate it. There's multiple solutions. Update database now. Now, refresh my databases. Bookstore 16, tables, voila. If you encounter errors in this step, you can start over by running the drop database command. Then you can run the update database command. It's like, hey, you've created this database before. We fixed it. Step 11, test the cart and admin pages. Run the app and click the cart link. It should redirect to the login page. There's my cart. Click the register as new user link. I'm really happy where this exercise is going. Seed and admin user and role. It's like the one thing that we skipped that Amel pointed out. Let's see. Click the cart link again. This should display the cart page. Click the admin link. This should display a message that indicates access denied. We did that before. Click the log out button. In the models data layer configuration folder, open the configure identity class. Models data layer. Configure ident. Wait, what was it? Yep, configure identity class. Empty. And add a static asynchronous method named create admin user async as described in the chapter. Cool. It's awesome. The one thing we skipped. Let's not skip it. What page are we on?
693.
693. I flipped to it right when you said that. All right. Public static. That is quite a line of code. So we know what a role manager is and what a user manager is, but we're kind of instantiating them differently with this. Interesting. Well, keep in mind this is going to be called kind of when the app launches. So gotta love passwords in pure text in source code. So the username's admin, the password is Sesame, the role name is admin. Okay, so we're calling a find method, hitting the database, seeing if the admin role creates, and so that's going to return either null or the string of admin. If it's null equals null, aka doesn't exist, let's create it. New identity role. Now refactor that with a capital N because camel casing. Okay, see if it exists in the database. If not, create a user object. Notice that the create async, the method took a user object. So we had to create a user object, pass a user object, pass a string password, create the user, and if that worked, add the user to the role. User manager, add to role async. Bingo. Close your 10 curlies. Class coded. Okay, something tells me we got to go into program.cs and call this static method that we just created. So we've got line 25. We've got use authentication and authorization. And after that, all this just to call our method var scope factory There's the method. This is the class that we just coded. There's the method in the class we just coded. Now all that to just run the thing. It should create an admin user, an admin role, and add the admin user to the admin role. So let's check that out in the database. Refresh, see if we got that right. Users, view data. There's our admin that we just seeded. And let's go roles. That's user roles, so you could see our user has been seeded to our admin role. Let's just go to our roles. So there's our admin role, capital A. Very good. Let's log in as our admin. Log in, username admin, capital S ESANE. We are logged in as admin. Of course, now we can ping around on our in our area called admin.
So you didn't need to add migration for that, or you did?
The migration that I added just added the tables. So I did not do any other database migrations after that.
Okay. So like after you did the configure identity, you didn't need to do one?
Step 1 was configure identity. Step 2 was modifying this chunk of code to call that method, and no more migrations. Very cool. So that was step 16, that was step 17, that was step 18, run the app and log in as admin, click the admin link. This should display the admin page, navigate the manage users. This should display the user you added earlier in the exercise. So log in. Admin, manage users, there's my guy. That's step 19. And finally, add fields to the registration page. We've done this, we'll do it again. Close it all down. Close all tabs. In the models, domain models, user entity, add string first and last name. Open the package manager console, add a new migration for these registration fields. Whatever, they're not required. Doesn't say to do it. We know how to do that. I'm not going to focus on that. Package manager console, add migration, added first, last names. Add a column, add a column. Update database. Now, I did get a fail, but I was running the site, so maybe there was an open connection. So my first thought is close all that down. And let me do that. Now let me go back and try that again. I just said build failed. Let me just try running that again. Okay, I just had to shut it down and then update the database. It kind of makes sense, right? You can't update a database that has an open connection. Close the connection, refresh it, tables, users, columns, first and last name columns are now part of our users table. In the view models, add first name, last name, email. Actually, that's where they do the validation, right? So, So close that, view model for, did it say register? It did say register view model. First name, copy that for the last name. And one for the email. Data type dot, not password, close, email. Okay, so this is on the register view model. Of course, what we have next is the controller and the view, right? So let's go in order. We're on step 24. We finished 24, so now controller, account controller, register post. So account controller, register post. Now we're going to bring in our email, first name, last name. And finally in the view, first name, last name, and email in the view. Be a couple things to copy and paste. So account, register, username, first name, first name, first name. Go ahead and put type of email on this, I guess. Otherwise, as we know, it'll figure it out for us. But let's take a look. We should be able to register a new user, first name, last name, email. Register. Just obviously get an error. Register. user, not an admin, access denied. Beautiful. Change passwords already there. Log out. Beautiful. The end of that.